my sweeties. Welcome back. So, in one of my recent videos, I explained to you guys that I am desperately trying to, going to start desperately trying to lose some weight. Now, I promote body positivity 100%. I think that everyone should feel good in their skin, no matter what their size. I personally do not feel good in my skin right now. And it's not so much about my body shape or my body size, but it's just about my overall health and the way that I feel. I'm tired far too often. I get winded doing easy things. My knees are starting to bother me really bad, and a little bit of my shoulders. I'm having some joint issues. It makes it more difficult for me to sleep at night. My wedding rings aren't fitting anymore, so that to me is a real sign to get off my butt and start taking better care of myself. And part of that journey for me is to lose some weight, and I know that I will feel so much better. I have in my life gone through a couple of periods of pretty dramatic weight loss. When I was in college, I was on a birth control shot that made me gain a lot of weight, and I will admit it's not just the shot. I also had a lot of depression and spent a lot of time just holed up in my dorm room eating Pillsbury toaster scrambles and never moving. When I did go out, I drank a lot of alcohol. I ate a lot of food at restaurants with friends, and I generally didn't take care of myself. And when I came home from college, my mother didn't even recognize me at the train station. She walked right past me. So I went through a period of extreme weight loss that time. And then after my son was born, I was on hospital bed rest for 28 days while I was pregnant with him, and trying to eat as much protein as possible because I heard that it can delay the effects of preeclampsia. So I was just stuffing myself with whole milk and bacon and looking back on it, all of the fattiest things that were offered at the hospital for food. But I couldn't move, I couldn't exercise, and again, I ballooned. I got up pretty big. I'm 5'7", and I was about 230 pounds when I left the hospital, and I think that's the biggest I've ever been in my life. But, got back down to about 160 after he was born, and, just did it the old-fashioned way. It was not easy, but it gets easier the more weight you lose, the easier it is to continue to lose it. So I know that I can do it again. It is a little bit harder because I'm older now. Your metabolism does slow as you age, but I still know that I can do it. And so I figured, for a couple of different reasons, primarily because it increases my accountability. If I tell you guys I'm doing this and then I don't follow through on it, then I feel guilty for having told you, and it'll help me stay on track. I will, you guys can listen in and hear about my progress, and hopefully at some point you'll be able to see the changes physically. I know you guys don't get like a full body shot or anything, but I'm sure, my hands are a little chubby and my face is chubby, and probably you'll be able to see some changes, I would hope. But I want to be very transparent with you guys about it. I also want to reiterate that I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that there's nothing beautiful and wonderful about overweight people. I just personally am at a place where I can't live like this anymore and I need to make a change. So I used to be a personal trainer and nutritionist. And so I have a lot of insights into nutrition that a lot of people might not have. So hopefully not only will this be I'm sorry, I'm trying not to edit, which makes it harder for me because I keep losing my words because I'm thinking too hard about it. But hopefully this will be not responsibility. Oh my gosh. Am I really going to let you guys watch me stumble over this word? Accountability. Holy crap. So not only will this be an exercise in accountability for me, but I'm hoping that it can also be an educational experience for you guys as well. So regardless of what anyone on YouTube shorts or video ads is trying to tell you, counting calories is literally the most foolproof way to lose weight because it's completely scientific. You have a certain number of calories that go into your body and a certain number of calories that come out of your body. And if the number of calories that goes into your body is greater than the number that comes out, you gain weight. And if the reverse is true, you lose weight. Only in extreme situations will you ever be able to consume less than what you're putting out and not lose weight. And more importantly, we'll get to that in a minute. There's a certain amount of calories that your body needs to live, and if it's not getting those on a consistent basis, everything shuts down. So there is a balance that you have to find. And for everybody's body, that number is going to be a little bit different. So the first thing I do when I start my weight loss journey is I sit down and I make a plan for eating, a calorie intake goal. And what I use is a net method for calorie intake. So really, the number one starting place is to figure out what is your basal metabolic rate. And that's BASAL, not BASIL. This has nothing to do with Italian food, or maybe everything. I don't know your story. So there are a number of different places you can go on the internet to find this. You could find there's I think 3 or 4 different versions of the equation for BMR. The most commonly used one is called the Harris-Benedict model. So basically, a basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories you burn just completely at rest at a perfect temperature in a perfectly restful state. So that means like your body's not digesting anything, you're not fighting any infections. So this is like the base amount of calories your body needs just to be alive. So that's typically going to be dependent on your age, and I'm just going to use a calculator right here, and I can link to it in the description. So you're going to use your age, your biological gender, your height, and your current weight. Now, I do want to point out that I do not have a lot of information on how your biological sex, the characteristics of your biological sex can change if you are transitioning to a different gender. if you are taking some sort of hormone therapy, I imagine that it's going to affect your endocrine system and it's going to affect the way your body metabolizes calories, but that's something that you should discuss with a doctor. I am not a medical doctor, and this video is for entertainment purposes, and I am not telling anyone what they should or should not do with their body. And I don't have all of the information, so there's a very good chance that I could be wrong about some of this. Remember that I'm old, and I got my certification many years ago, and the science, I'm sure, has changed since then, but I do know that this particular method works for me and my body. So I'll put in my age. I am biologically female, 5'7". I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh because that's none of you. And so my basal metabolic rate is 1,600 calories a day. Now, this is my bare minimum. And I should never go below that. Some people will tell you that women can go down to 1,200 calories a day, and that is technically true. But because of where I am in my life and my weight, it would be detrimental to go below the 1,600 calories. And basically that's because your body is going to be like, whoa, I don't even have enough food right now to stay alive. And you'll go into starvation mode, which means that every bit of energy that you could possibly conserve will be turned into and stored as fat. You will see at these lower levels of calorie consumption that your weight loss slows down drastically past a certain level, and that's because your body freaks out and it gets scared. The other thing that it will do is it will make you more tired. So if you don't eat a sufficient amount of calories, then you will not have the energy to do what you need to do throughout the day. You will get sick, you will get tired, you will not be able to exercise for sure. So for now, I'm going to say that my absolute minimum is 1,600. Now, again, that's going to be net. There are going to be very, very, very few days that I only consume 1,600 calories. Some of you may find that, let's say for instance, your BMR is 1,000 calories. And that's great, but that can't be your minimum. If you are female, I never want you to drop below 1,200. I should say that. I should not frame that as if I'm telling you to do something. As a female, I would never go below 1,200 calories because I feel like that would be very detrimental to my body and things would start shutting down. So, when you're doing this, if you decide to do this for yourself, I want you to be very careful about where you set your minimum amount of calories for the day. Okay, so 1,600 calories a day is how much I need just to stay alive. If I were, and the calculator that I'm gonna link will tell you this, but as I am a sedentary person, which means little or no exercise, I need 1,920 calories to maintain my weight. So I've got my basal metabolic rate, which I call my bare minimum rate, which is also BMR. See how that works? Then you also have your maintenance rate. So your maintenance calories is the number of calories that you have to take in to maintain your current weight. Now, generally, somewhere between your minimum and your maintenance is going to be where you want to set your calorie counts to lose weight. And so that is going to be for 2 pounds a week, you would want to have a calorie deficit of, I think, 1,000 a day. Yeah. And 1 pound a week is going to be a deficit of 500 a day. So I'm going to call this my weight loss range. Which would be from 920 calories to 1420 calories. Now you will notice that both of these amounts are less than my 1600. So my default, then I'm going to go back to that 1600. As I lose weight, and as you lose weight, your BMR will drop. So as I lose weight, I'm going to go back and look at these numbers and determine a value that fits closely somewhere in that range. But again, I can't go less than 1200. So I normally do end up at 16 or I think 15. Anything less than that for me is really difficult to sustain. So at 1600 calories, I'm probably going to lose a little bit less than a pound a week. But that's enough, you know. And that's another tip that I give people when I'm doing this. Just don't weigh yourselves, guys. Like, do not step on the scale every time you get out of the shower. There are so many factors that go into your weight that are not helpful in this process and can make you feel defeated. The time of day, whether or not you've stayed hydrated throughout the day, when's the last time you went to the bathroom, have you had high salt content, have you been gaining muscle? Because gaining muscle makes you feel like you're not losing weight when really you are not technically losing weight, but you're losing fat and you're gaining muscle, and so it'll make you feel like you've stalled out. If you are trying to get in shape, whether that includes losing weight or not, what you need to track is how you feel. How much energy do you have? Make a journal. You know, just every morning or every evening before you go to bed, how much energy did I have today? How comfortable was I in my clothes? How confident did I feel? You know, have I noticed anything that's changed? Like, is it easier to bend down and tie my shoes? Do I feel like my muscles are stronger or firmer? I mean, all of this is like kind of a holistic whole body approach to getting healthy. And, you know, when you put the focus on the number of what the scale says, it's very easy to lose your way and not be as healthy as you could be. All right, so for me, I'm going to start out at 1600 a day. And I'm going to divide that up into 6 categories. I have a breakfast amount, a snack amount, a lunch amount, a second snack amount, a dinner amount, and a dessert amount. And I do it this way again because this is what works for me. I have a very hard time making it between, well, not as hard a time between breakfast and lunch, but definitely between lunch and dinner without having a snack. So that's really important to me. Dessert is kind of misleading because really what that is I really like to have a glass of milk after dinner before I go to bed. And so that sort of catches those calories. So I want to try to keep snacks light, just enough to, bring my blood sugar back up when I start to feel tired. If you have more calories to work with, I suggest anything from 100 to 300 per snack. But again, if I did 300 calories per snack, that would be more than half of my calories for the day, and that doesn't make any kind of sense. So So I'm going to keep it at 100. There are lots of things that easily fit into that 100 calorie band. So whereas a banana is probably closer to 110, and an apple is hovering between 80 and 90, depending on the size of the apple. Most fruits that are self-contained single-serving fruits are about 100 calories for fruit. There are lots of prepackaged snacks that come in that 100 calorie range that are easy to grab and go. So there are a lot of options for you, I think, at the 100 calorie range in terms of really just filling snacks. Then, of course, going up to 150, that sort of incorporates some of your lower end, like protein bars and that sort of thing. 200 to 250 tends to be like Laura bars, things that are like packaged crackers, that sort of thing. And then 300 is really good because you can get 2 of the smaller snacks into a 300, which is where I usually set my husband's snacks because he is much more of a snacker than I am. I prefer to have a majority of my calories early in the day and keep my dinner light. Breakfast is my thing. I really love all breakfast foods. So I tend to stay very heavy on breakfast calories. So I have now 1,300 left for the day. And I could do a 500, 500, and 300. But I feel like that would be a little too light for dinner. So I'm going to go with a 500, 400, 400. And I could even adjust that a little bit because I think 350 would be doable for a lunch. But I know some of my favorite lunch items hover right around 400. Like a pack of ramen is typically right around 400. Or sometimes I like to eat steak for lunch. I know that's kind of weird, but I don't eat a whole lot of red meat, but sometimes I just get in the mood for it, and I like to have a steak at lunch, and 400 would encompass a pretty sizable steak there. So 500 calories in the morning, 100 for the snack, 400 for lunch, 100 for snack, 400 for dinner, and 100 calories of milk before I go to bed. And this is key for me. Like, I know that I really want you guys to understand this. Like, I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. If I want to eat 1,600 calories worth of Snickers bars, I'm probably gonna be really flippin' hungry all the time, but I'm not going to gain weight from it. So I could do that. And you kind of fall into it backwards too, because you start off eating like, oh, these are the things that I want to eat, and then you realize that these things are not sustaining me the way that I had hoped they were. So what can I do to sort of make my calories stretch a little further? And so you'll find that you do start eating more healthy foods as you go along, but you don't ever have to sacrifice the foods that you love and the things that you want. I could have, I was thinking about this the other day. So I can get a peach pie, and a little tiny Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream for 500 calories, and I could eat that for breakfast. I would crash so hard before I even made it to this first snack, but I could do it. And some days I might do it, If I'm having a rough day and I want to have pie instead of lunch or dinner or even breakfast, I'm going to do it. So don't feel like I'm denying myself anything. So the food and the food choices are really only half of the battle, though, because I can guarantee you that I'm going to want to eat more than this. And that's where the net method comes in. So exercise to eat is how I would describe that. Exercise to eat. Your net calories should be, I'm going to call this my net calories right here. Your net calories are the goal. So I know that 1600 is what I need to get through my sedentary day. So let's say I get up and I run a mile, which, by the way, this is an interesting point. Whether you walk it or run it, if you go 1 mile, you're going to burn approximately 100 calories. That's a general approximation, but I think you'll find that everything in calorie counting and weight loss tends to be an approximation, because even the numbers, the calorie numbers on the back of your food packages are just an approximation. So, keep it loose. Don't stress over single calories. So 1 mile is about 100 calories. Well, what that does is it gives me a net deficit, which means that now I can eat 600 calories for breakfast. It can be kind of confusing, but what it comes down to is you look at how much did I eat minus how much did I burn, and this is just going to be your excess, okay? Your excess burn. We're not counting things that you normally do in the course of your day. This doesn't count if you walk a lot for your job. This doesn't count if you are cleaning the house up or mowing the grass. This counts as exercise for exercise sake, okay? So whatever you eat minus whatever you burn is going to equal your net calories for the day, which should, for me, equal 1600. So I eat all of my 1600 calories of food, and then I run my 100, which gives me a net calorie count of 1500, which is less than 1600, which means I can eat more. So I use my Net Diary. My Fitness Pal is a good one. But when you're looking for a program to help you track these things, you should make sure that it uses the net method. It'll tell you how many calories you have left for the day based on your anticipated level of 1600, and then any extra exercises that you log. Or you could just keep track of it with a pencil and paper, and that's fine too. But I think a lot of people find that the apps are really useful, especially since they have like foods preloaded into them. So if you're eating something outside of your normal, things that you have memorized, which, I don't know, over time I've just gotten a lot of different foods memorized. But yeah, they have, if you're like, oh, today I stopped and got a Starbucks chai latte with oat milk on my way to work, then you can look that up in these apps and it will automatically log for you how many calories. Though Starbucks does a really good job of telling you how many calories your drink's going to have anyway, so that's pretty cool. So exercise is important, and I try to vary the types of exercise that I do, but I'll be honest with you, you do what makes you happy and what seems fun. Just don't lie to yourself that you burnt more calories than you really did. So if you go to do a round of golf and you're on the golf course for 2 hours and it's just a leisurely stroll, and then you go to log it and it's like, oh, well, sorry, you only burned an extra 120 calories. Don't be like, oh, but I was really walking really vigorously, and I feel like I must have burned more than that, so let me just turn it up, you know. Be honest with yourself, or this is never going to work. So that's like the number one rule. Just be honest with yourself. Another good way to track calories is to get yourself like a fitness watch. I use a Garmin. So like you just say, okay, I'm starting to play golf right now, and it'll monitor your heart rate and it'll tell you how many calories that you burned while playing golf at the end, which takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And those things are really way more accurate than they used to be. Do not use the calorie counter on the treadmill at the gym. Those are very unreliable. Rule 2 is don't weigh every day. That's important. So my gym schedule is pretty varied. Mondays and Thursdays is swim days. Then Sunday and Wednesday are run days. I do a treadmill Tuesday, so that's generally my recovery day. Oh, swim is also on Saturdays. And Fridays is strength and cycle. It's a little more complicated than that. I've built in some morning exercises and some evening exercises. I do have a gym membership, so I am really blessed to have that available to me in my area, and also financially to be able to afford it. Though realistically, it is a priority. Like, I need it for my mental health and well-being, so I would get rid of Netflix before I got rid of my gym membership for sure. I would get rid of a lot of things. Like, I would rather live in a smaller house and drive an older car and still have a gym membership. It's definitely a priority. This is the clickiest pencil ever. So I know that I've probably bored you to death. Or maybe you found some of it useful. This is surely going to be my least popular ASMR video, but sometimes you just make one for yourself, you know? So thanks for bearing with me, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope this is helpful. If you would like any other tips or tricks, or have any questions about the process that I outlined for myself, feel free to contact me. But again, full disclosure, I used to be a professional like 20 years ago, and I'm definitely not a medical doctor, and I'm not going to give you medical advice. I can tell you what worked for me. I can suggest what might work for other people, but don't take my word for it. You're so much better off just doing your own research. And let me be a starting point. Let me be a jumping off place for you. But thanks for listening. I always enjoy spending time with you, even if it's boring time. And hopefully it at least puts you to sleep, right? Maybe, maybe not. But if you are sleeping, I really hope you're having sweet sugar dreams. And I will see you in my next less boring video.